So right now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Israel with Prime Minister Netanyahu for high-stakes talks as tensions rise after Israel struck Hamas terror leaders in Qatar. It comes as Netanyahu hints the job in Qatar is not done, posting, quote, the Hamas terrorist chiefs living in Qatar don't care about the people in Gaza. They blocked all the ceasefire attempts in order to endlessly drag out the war. Getting rid of them would rid the main obstacle to releasing all of our hostages and ending the war. Let's bring in former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor, KT McFarland. KT, the president is dealing with two situations here, but it's all the same issue. You got the Hamas terrorists that are in Qatar, but he also has diplomatic relationships with the Arab world that he has to maintain as well. So acknowledging the terrorists and where they are while still trying to not tick off the people that he's trying to get peace with as well. How does he work this out?
Well, he's got to thread the needle. On one hand, he said, you know, eliminate Hamas. Israel, do whatever you have to do to eliminate Hamas and do it quickly. But on the other hand, as you point out, he's got these burgeoning relationships with the Gulf Arab countries. And we also have a military base in Qatar. So he doesn't want to have Israel do what it needs to do against Hamas, but at the same time alienate the bigger picture, which is the bigger piece in the Middle East. I think the reason Marco Rubio is in Israel right now is to have those conversations and to ask the Israelis, what are you planning to do? You're planning to go into Gaza City next week. We know that. But what are your objectives? Do you think you know where the hostages are being held? Do you think you know where the senior leadership of Hamas is? How are you going to get rid of them? How are you going to take them out? How are you going to relieve the hostages? But at the same time, what's your plan for the day after? Because the day after, Israel said many times it does not want to occupy Gaza. So what's the day after? The day after has to include those Gulf Arab countries. And what is their role going to be? So it's again, President Trump is very good at threading this needle, but he's got to thread the needle.
It's a tough one, but it's one of the many peace deals that he's working his way through. I want to talk about with Russia and Ukraine. As you know, the president is going to be in the UK. And he said something that I thought was quite interesting. And he's putting it on those European leaders yet again. And this is what he had to say. Yeah. On Truth Social. I'm ready to do major sanctions on Russia when all NATO nations have agreed and started to do the same thing. And when all NATO nations stop buying oil from Russia. As you know, NATO commitment to the win has been far less than 100%. So he's saying, look, if I'm going to put my country at risk and, you know, up the ante here economically and how it will impact us, then all of the EU and NATO countries need to be in this with me.
You know, here's the thing. The first day of President Trump's first term, I was in the Oval Office, and he took a phone call from the then German Chancellor Angela Merkel. And the first thing she said was, what are you going to do about Ukraine? And he said, well, what are you going to do about Ukraine? It's your neighborhood. And that really is the same conversation we're having today, right? All the Europeans and NATO members, what are you going to do about Ukraine? Are you going to have secondary sanctions against Russia? Are you going to give Ukraine more military equipment? What are you going to do about Ukraine? And he's saying, wait a minute, what are you going to do about Ukraine? And although the European countries have been weaning themselves off of Russia oil and natural gas since the Ukraine war began, they're not off of it. And they could get off of it a lot quicker. They have alternatives to Russian oil and natural gas. Frankly, they have the American alternative.
That's right.
Of our oil and liquefied natural gas. So why not buying it from us? Why are they continuing to make Russia rich? They, the Europeans, have given Russia probably 200, well, nobody knows for sure, but 150, $200 billion of revenue. And that's what Russia's used to fight the war in Ukraine. It's about time that stops.
The fact that the president even has to make this request and they don't know, that's what you need to do, shows you why we're here right now. KT, always great analysis.
Thank you, Lawrence.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.